Hello everyone, welcome to Boom Children's Ministries, and today we're going to talk about a very common mistake that a lot of Sunday school teachers and children's church teachers make, and that is reading your lesson. Stay tuned.
Blah 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 blah.
Today we're going to talk about a very common mistake, and that is reading your lesson, okay? So I have seen this many times before, and every time it is done, it is not done well, okay? Let me show you. I'm going to show you firsthand how this works. I went into one of my Sunday school teachers' classrooms, and I grabbed their Sunday school material. We use Answers in Genesis, which, by the way, Answers in Genesis is a very good curriculum. I would highly recommend it. What was I going to say? I would highly recommend Answers in Genesis. I'm going to talk about curriculums a little bit in the future. You can have a good teacher teach a bad curriculum well. You can have a bad teacher teach a good curriculum terribly. That's why when you get a good teacher teaching a good curriculum, magic happens. All right. So I would highly recommend Answers in Genesis, their Sunday school curriculum. This one specifically that I have right here is, it's called, Wisdom from God. This is lessons 81 through 90. Specifically pre-K through first grade. This is not an affiliate. I'm not making any money by advertising them. Even though Answers in Genesis, if you're watching, I would love for you to be my sponsor. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes. Okay. So Answers in Genesis is a very good curriculum here, and here is something that I have seen a lot of teachers make the mistake in doing. All right. So this is a good curriculum, and what a lot of teachers do is this is their mistake, and I don't have a whole lot of room here, so I'm going to try, okay? In the last lesson, we learned how David sinned when he wanted Bathsheba for his wife. She was already married to one of his soldiers named Uriah. David had Uriah killed to cover up his sin. God was very displeased with David and sent Nathan the prophet to tell David a parable. What was the parable or story that Nathan told? Then you have to wait for the kids to give an answer. Nathan told David, "You are the man." David understood that he had sinned, just like the rich man in the story. He confessed his sin and begged God to forgive him and cleanse his heart. Okay, so that's 2 paragraphs that I just read to you of this curriculum. Now, this is a good curriculum, right? I have nothing against this curriculum. In fact, everything in here is very factual. It's very true. But I hope that in that last 1 minute of me reading this, you got a little bit bored, and hopefully not bored enough that you clicked away from this. But I want you to understand that when you read through your curriculum, you lose your kids, right? And remember, if you want for your children's ministry to boom instead of fizzle, you need to keep the kids' attention. You need to have order, and you need to establish that you are in control. When you start reading your curriculum, you lose control. You lose control very quickly. Why? Because when you're reading your curriculum, you're not engaging with the children while you're giving the lesson. You're engaging with the book while you're giving the lesson. You probably couldn't hear that. You're engaging with the book while you're giving your lesson. And that doesn't help you. It doesn't help you at all. There's a few problems with reading your curriculum. One, as I said, it messes up with order. It shows that you do not have control of the room. 2, it's boring. Just call it like it is. Kids do not enjoy hearing someone read a story. Because 3, it makes you look like you're not very prepared. And the truth is, if you have to read through your story in order to get it out there, then you're not ready, right? A Sunday school teacher who's reading through their story is the Sunday school teacher who is only looking over their lessons Sunday morning a few minutes before they do their class, or maybe Saturday night. You, as a Sunday school teacher or as a children's church leader, you need to have your lesson ready Monday night. And by ready, I'm not talking like every single little thing you're going to say. But Monday night, you should be thinking, you should know in your mind what you're going to be talking about by Monday night. That way, the rest of the week, you can formulate everything you're going to say. And then by Saturday night, you know your lesson backward and forward. You know everything that you're going to say to those kids. So reading shows a lack of preparedness on your part. And again, that goes back to a lack of order. All right. So what should you do? Because there are a lot of you that get curriculums like this, right? Curriculums that have on this one side is a beautiful picture. And by the way, the artwork here on Answers in Genesis, excellently done. Again, call me Kid Ham. I would love to sponsor you. No, but seriously, the artwork here is very well done. But a lot of curriculums are like this. You have artwork on one side, and then you have script on the other side, right? And very interesting script, by the way. So here's the chunk that the teacher's supposed to say. Here's a little interview that the teacher does with Absalom, which is a really cute thing. Just very clever ideas. So here's what I do when I have curriculums like this. In fact, I don't have it nearby. But for Vacation Bible School, I in the past have used Child Evangelism Fellowship, their little 5-day stories that are a picture, and you just keep flipping to the next picture. I've used them in the past. But again, you can't read them. Do not read them. That's boring. So here's what I would do with a curriculum. And I'm not going to do this with this one because it's not mine. It's my Sunday school teacher's, but I'm going to pretend. So what I would do, even with an Answers in Genesis curriculum, is I would take a pencil. I know this is a pen. I don't have a pencil sitting in front of me. I would take a pencil. And with that pencil, I would go up here to the top corner. Okay? And what I would do is during the week, I would read over the material, right? Not this little interview thing. I think you can read the interview part if you actually do this correctly. Because the little interview would take obviously two people. It would take the person playing Absalom and the teacher themselves. Again, well, anyway, you don't really see this very well. This part I would read, but the actual lesson itself, I would look over it, and what I would do then is I would break it down into an outline, right? In fact, this actually kind of does it a little bit. It says here, review, it says Absalom's rebellion, then it says Bible passage here, Bible passage there. So it kind of, Absalom's defeat down here. So it kind of breaks it up into a little bit of an outline already. So what I would do is I would go over here and I would upside down, write my little outline right here. Okay. And so I would write down Absalom's rebellion, and then I might write dash one thought, dash another thought, dash another thought. What I would do is I would make, instead of a sentence outline, I would make a thought outline. And then what I would do is this. While I'm teaching the lesson, I'm not reading it like this. Instead, I'm holding my outline, I'm holding my story like this, right? And instead of teaching it by reading it, instead I'm looking at the kids, I'm interacting with the kids while I'm teaching the story of Absalom, right? And then if I need to look back at my lesson, instead of looking behind me at the paper, I already have the outline right down here. So I'll look down at the outline and see, okay, well, I've already talked about Absalom's rebellion. Next, I talk about Absalom's, of course, this is my first time picking up this curriculum for today, so pardon me. Defeat. Absalom's defeat is the next one. So I've already talked about his rebellion. Now it's time for me to talk about Absalom's defeat. I would keep going from there. So instead of me stopping, going back to reading the text that the curriculum gave me, instead I'm just looking at a simple outline that's up top. And the truth is this: the kids are not going to notice, especially if it's just in pencil. If you write this down in pencil, and if you write it upside down, it's barely going to look like a smudge on their piece of paper. And the truth is, the artwork is colorful enough that the kids aren't going to care what's up here in a teeny tiny little corner. So that is how I would handle a curriculum. I'm not going to read through it. That's not going to help you, and you're not going to keep the kids' attention. Instead, I'm going to read through it during the week, and then write out myself a simple outline along the edge here, and then use that outline while I'm teaching the kids, right? Just give you an idea here. I do write out my sermons for the adults word for word, but I don't follow my sermons word for word. Now, I know there used to be a time and there used to be a day when preachers could stand up in their pulpit and they could literally read their sermon with no voice inflection, with no, dynamic speaking. Jonathan Edwards, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. He literally read that sermon, monotone. And God worked in a great way. But the truth is that we're not in those days anymore. And you struggle listening to a person simply read a 40-minute sermon or even a 20-minute sermon. We can't expect kids to appreciate that or respect that either. Especially with our attention spans being shortened and shortened and shortened all the time. So don't read your curriculum. Kids don't appreciate it, they won't respect it, and they certainly will not learn anything by it. Instead, be engaged with your curriculum, know what it's talking about well in advance, and then prepare yourself so that you don't have to look at it. I guess the one thing I can say is this: and if you want to avoid reading your curriculum, if you want to avoid boring the children with reading your curriculum every week, you have to know your curriculum. It's a big problem with teachers. I stand by what I've said before, is that if you prepare your lesson in advance, you have done more than 90% of other Sunday school teachers. Know your lesson Monday. That way the rest of the week, you are soaking it all in, thinking about it, so that by the time Sunday comes, you are ready to teach. Be prepared. Preparedness is one of the biggest keys in children's ministry. Being prepared, planning, knowing what you're going to do. And that is today's short-ish lesson. I meant for it to be 5 minutes long. It ended up being a little bit longer, but that's just how I am. All right, so that's the lesson today. Do not read your lesson. If you liked the contents of today's video, be sure to give me a like, be sure to give me a subscribe, and comment. Give me a comment as well. Tell me how your children's ministry is going. And I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see that like or subscribe button. Hey, and if you know anyone from Answers in Genesis, be sure to, okay. Anyway, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you.